All right, a euphemism, a couple of euphemisms having to do with employment, which can be uh, sensitive right now when employment is terminated, okay? So one would simply be termination. Instead of a person being fired, some people would say that termination sounds a little better. His job was terminated, or um, um, their job. There was a termination of jobs at the office today. We might say that a person was let go. Instead of saying that they were fired, they were let go at work. My boss let me go today and I don't know why. All right. So obviously in pandemic time, we're learning that, people are being let go due to economic downturn. Our economy is in a shaky place right now, and people are being let go. People are being laid off, so we use that term, and sometimes a person who has been fired will say that they were laid off. This is a way that they can hide the embarrassment about maybe being fired for some reason. So they'll simply say, I was laid off at my job and I'm looking for a new job. And then sometimes companies will use the term cutting back. When they use the term cutting back, it means that they are decreasing the numbers of their employees. They're trying to save money. Perhaps that company is actually in very serious financial trouble. Maybe that company is even looking at going out of business or is about to become bankrupt. But the company doesn't want to say that we are bankrupt or about to be bankrupt. They will simply use the term, we are cutting back our workforce. We are cutting back some of our hourly employees or our full-time employees, and that's a way that they can say that without having to indicate that their circumstances are very serious at that time. So some ways that we euphemistically talk about employment. And then I think there's only one or so more, and two more actually. One is going to the bathroom. That's always a kind of sensitive topic among Americans. We don't want to just, say what the real thing is so much. But we have some kind of funny ways of getting around having to say exactly. One of those is pause, P-A-U-S-E, for the cause. Okay, pause meaning to take a little break, for the cause, the need to go to the bathroom. Okay, as you know, we say we need to be excused. And that very clearly tells somebody that, probably need to go to the restroom. We also say that we need to, this should have go, powder, our nose. Excuse me, I need to go powder my nose. You might say that at a dinner table in a restaurant. And means that you need to go to the restroom. I need to go powder my nose. Sometimes we will say that we need to wash our hands, when the reality is that we need to go to the bathroom. Okay? All right. So those are a few, and especially this first one that you might hear and you're not really sure about, just some ways that we might ask. Of course, it's completely appropriate to say, I'm going to go to the restroom, I'll be right back. That's probably the one I use the most. It's completely appropriate to ask someone, where is the restroom? In the United States, we don't use the word toilet as the description for the room itself. Toilet strictly applies to the toilet on which you sit. So we tend to not use the word toilet too much when we are asking to go to the restroom or when we're telling someone. But I know that in other places, my experience mostly being Europe, that if you ask where, you would ask, where is the toilet? And that would be considered the appropriate question to ask. Also in Europe, I think the word water closet is very much used to describe the bathroom, the water closet, WC. All right. And finally, a couple of euphemisms that are indicators that a person has a problem that is maybe of a serious nature. And this can be important, perhaps with a neighbor, a friend, a classmate, I don't know, just different situations where people are encountering a hard time and they don't want to really tell others what that hard time is. Maybe it's very personal to them, maybe it's embarrassing to them, and so they will use some euphemistic terms to kind of give a little information. If someone is doing that, then we know it's kind of our little cue, C-U-E, cue, to not ask questions. So they're giving us a cue that this is personal. So someone might say, describe a family member as simply in some trouble. When we hear in some trouble, most of the time we can guess that that trouble is legal. And that, maybe that person has been arrested. Maybe that person has a drug problem. Perhaps an unwanted pregnancy could be the case. Bankruptcy. So legal or, physically unfortunate, perhaps. So if someone tells you that, the kid across the street is in some trouble, then most likely something has happened that is, at least for that family at that time, very personal, private, maybe embarrassing. And so we want to be cautious in what we might ask. We might say that someone who has gotten in trouble with the law, we will say that they had a brush with the law. Okay? In this case, brush, we say we brush something off. Okay? It's kind of a quick, kind of like, brush brush your hair, but kind of quick. A brush with the law, meaning the police, would be, someone who has been speeding maybe, and they caused an accident. They had a brush with the law. They hopefully didn't kill anyone or anything terrible like that, but they did get in trouble. They had to spend a night or two in jail. They had a very large fine, and their family member might say that she had a brush with the law. I'm trying to think. We might also say that kind of along these lines, dealing with a personal matter or legal matter, such things as that. Dealing with a personal matter being the euphemism, that's your cue, that's your hint that it's private, that it's probably not a happy thing. Legal matter, again, difficult and not a matter that somebody necessarily wants to talk to you about. And so when we hear something like this, we generally just want to let that person know that we're sorry, and that we hope things will be better for them very soon. It's also very appropriate to say, if I can help in any way, please let me know. If you mean that, and if that's your sincere offer, if I can help you at all, I will be happy to do that. So we would, extend kindness there. All right. So I think that, let me look at our time. I think that I'm going to pause there with euphemisms, and perhaps we will come back to these. At least I will do my best to point them out as I use them, as they come up in things that we read and write. So I'm going to do the rest of the segment. I'm going to go back to writing. And I want to discuss today, excuse me, I'm going to get my red marker. My blue one doesn't seem to be doing just real well this morning. So I want to discuss today with you the topic of voice in writing. We have talked about organizing for writing and the various aspects, and we looked at an essay, which we are going to go back and look at some more. But before we look at that and talk about revision, I think it's important for us to talk about voice. This is kind of the most misunderstood aspect of writing, and that's partly because it's hard to define. Voice is a difficult thing to define as a writer, and it's kind of something that we understand more so as we read. If we are readers, we read a lot of different things. We begin to understand voice. If we write a lot, we begin to be aware of voice in our writing. When I'm talking with you, you know me very well. I know you very well. If I come to you and I sound very different than I normally do, as if something is wrong, maybe wrong with me, or wrong in my life, and my whole demeanor changes, you would think, that's not Terri. Something's wrong, okay? That's not the Terri I know. It doesn't sound like the Terri I know. It doesn't look like the Terri I know. Something's going on. She's not well, or she's very, very upset about something. You've come to know my voice, which is kind of my style which is kind of just the way that I am with people. I've come to know your voices, your style. It's more than what comes out of our voice box down here, but it is all of the parts that make us who we are in the public eye, okay? So voice and writing is sort of that. It has to do with the tone of our writing. The tone. Are we striking a cheerful tone? Are we striking a serious tone? Are we striking a tone of curiosity? Are we striking a tone of concern and worry? Are we striking a tone of encouragement? The tone of our writing really comes across to the reader when we use the vocabulary and the expressions that reveal that tone that we want to get across. Voice has a lot to do with believing what we say. That's easy to do in writing if the topic is something that we have a strong feeling about, good or bad. We can write with conviction, which is another word for strong belief. So voice has to do with believing what we say. The reader knows that, this writer really believes this. It also has to do with feeling strongly about what we say. Feeling strongly about what we say, which is similar to belief, but feeling words really do carry a lot of voice in our writing. Voice also has to do with sounding natural, sounding like ourselves. I've noticed when I read your writing that you do a very good job, really, of all of these things. But I definitely notice when something you have said in writing sounds just like you. It sounds like the way you would tell me something. We can sound natural, sound like ourselves without being too casual. If our writing is more professional, we can still sound like ourselves, but using a little more professional language or more academic type of English than we might use if we were having a face-to-face conversation. But our voice really comes through when we sound natural and not as if we are, practically copying something out of a textbook. Okay, so this is a very big aspect of voice. And the last one that I will mention today is caring about our topic and our readers, okay? Oops. Caring about our topic and our readers fits in here. You know, you could use belief and feeling and all of that and say that they're kind of all part of the same thing. When you care about the topic, it shows that it's an important topic to you. And you, of course, explain why. You demonstrate that through the examples that you give and through the different ways that you go about writing. about that topic. Also, it matters. So when something matters to us, we're passionate about it. We describe it in words that let people know that it matters. And when we are conveying to readers, we need to show that we care about them as well. So, excuse me, to let readers know that something is important to you, but it also has importance in their life. Or you have a wish for them to also, care about this particular topic. Let's say you're writing about health, and you're talking about important health habits. You let the reader know that this matters a lot in your life, and you hope that it will also matter in their life. You want to try to let them know why it should matter in their lives. So voice, it's difficult. You can't just say it is this. You can't just give a easy definition for voice. This is it. It's more a mixture of these things that happen in writing, because the writer is kind of writing from their heart. And you can write from your heart even if the topic is of a serious nature, even if it is a business topic or a scientific topic. You can still let the reader know that this matters to me, or that I believe in this, or this is important, and using the words that convey that in a strong way. So as we look at people's writing, our own as well as examples like the one that I gave you videos in the classroom, we're going to look at that and we're going to ask ourselves, if we notice strong voice, and if not, how that writer could have elevated, lifted the voice in their piece. All right, I've gone 2 minutes and 27 seconds over my time. I'm going to stop and go to the grocery store with my mask and my gloves, and I'll see you later. Have a good day, everyone.